Hello, beautiful hearts, and welcome to a conversation that I believe is one of the most important we can have about creating love that truly nourishes your soul. I want to speak with you today about something that so many of us struggle with: how to open our hearts fully to love while remaining authentically ourselves, how to create deep intimacy without losing our individual identity, and how to build relationships that support both people in becoming more of who they truly are. If you've ever felt like you disappear a little bit in relationships, if you've noticed patterns of giving too much or accepting too little, if you've wondered why you keep attracting the same types of partners or dynamics, the stars have profound wisdom to offer you. Your birth chart contains a beautiful blueprint for how you love, how you want to be loved, and what you need to create relationships that honor both your heart and your authentic self. What I want to share with you today comes from years of observing how the planetary energies in our charts influence our capacity for conscious love. Love that enhances rather than diminishes us, love that calls forth our best selves rather than asking us to hide parts of who we are. This is about understanding your unique love language as written in the cosmos and learning to create partnerships that feel like coming home to yourself rather than losing yourself. Let me help you understand the key astrological indicators that reveal your relationship patterns and potential. Your Venus shows how you give and receive love, what makes you feel valued and beautiful, and what you're naturally drawn to in partnership. Your Mars reveals how you pursue what you want, how you handle conflict, and how you express your individual will within relationship. Your seventh house describes the qualities you seek in partnership and often the patterns you unconsciously recreate from your early relationships. But here's what's most important to understand. None of these planetary influences are fixed destinies. They're tendencies, potentials, and areas of both gift and growth. When you become conscious of these patterns, you gain the power to work with them intentionally rather than being unconsciously driven by them. During times when you're developing more conscious relationship patterns, you might notice some very specific shifts in how love feels in your body and daily experience. There can be moments of clarity where you suddenly see old patterns with fresh eyes, perhaps recognizing how you've been giving your power away, or how you've been attracting partners who mirror your own relationship with yourself. You might notice a new kind of discernment arising, where you're less willing to compromise your authentic self for the sake of keeping peace or maintaining connection. This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about recognizing that healthy relationships require two whole people choosing to share their lives, rather than two incomplete people hoping to find completion in each other. There can also be a deeper awareness of your own emotional triggers and how they play out in partnership. Instead of automatically blaming your partner when you feel hurt or triggered, you might find yourself getting curious about what old wound or unmet need is being activated, and taking responsibility for your own healing. Many people notice that their tolerance for drama, manipulation, or disrespectful behavior dramatically decreases as they develop more conscious relationship patterns. Your nervous system begins to recognize these dynamics as incompatible with your well-being, and you naturally start making different choices. Now let's explore both the shadow patterns that keep us stuck in unconscious relationship dynamics and the beautiful gifts that emerge when we learn to love consciously. The shadow side of unconscious relationships often includes what I call identity fusion. Losing yourself so completely in partnership that you no longer know where you end and your partner begins. This might manifest as adopting your partner's interests, opinions, or dreams while neglecting your own, or feeling like you can't be happy unless your partner is happy. There can also be patterns of what I call love addiction, needing constant validation, reassurance, or attention from your partner to feel okay about yourself. This creates an exhausting dynamic where love becomes about getting needs met rather than sharing authentic affection and respect. Sometimes the shadow shows up as rescuer syndrome, choosing partners who need fixing, saving, or healing, and then feeling frustrated when they don't change or when the relationship becomes one-sided. This pattern often masks a fear of intimacy with an emotionally healthy, available person. But here's the extraordinary gift that emerges when you begin to love consciously. You discover that the deepest intimacy is only possible when two people are committed to remaining authentic individuals. Instead of trying to merge or complete each other, you create space for each person to grow, evolve, and express their unique gifts. Conscious relationships become a mirror for your own growth and healing. Your partner's presence in your life illuminates areas where you're ready to develop more self-love, better boundaries, or greater emotional maturity. Conflict becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding rather than a threat to the relationship. You also develop what I call interdependent love, the ability to support each other's dreams and healing while maintaining your own sense of purpose and identity. This creates relationships that feel expansive rather than limiting, energizing rather than draining. Let me share some practical tools for creating more conscious, balanced relationships based on astrological wisdom. First, study your Venus placement to understand your authentic love language. Venus in fire signs might need passion and adventure in love. Venus in earth signs often expresses love through practical care and physical affection. Venus in air signs usually needs intellectual connection and verbal appreciation. Venus in water signs typically require emotional depth and intuitive understanding. Honor your Venus needs instead of trying to love the way others expect you to. Second, understand your Mars placement to recognize how you naturally assert yourself in relationships. Mars in fire signs might need direct communication and healthy competition. Mars in earth signs often express desires through consistent action and practical support. Mars in air signs usually need intellectual debate and freedom of expression. Mars in water signs typically assert themselves through emotional depth and intuitive knowing. Learn to express your Mars energy healthily rather than suppressing it or letting it become aggressive. Third, examine your 7th house to identify unconscious partnership patterns. The sign on your 7th house cusp and any planets there reveal what you're unconsciously seeking in relationships and what patterns you might be recreating from your family of origin. Awareness of these patterns allows you to make more conscious choices. Fourth, practice what I call individual identity maintenance within relationships. Continue pursuing your own interests, maintaining your friendships, and developing your personal goals even when you're deeply in love. A healthy relationship enhances your individual life rather than replacing it. Fifth, develop emotional sovereignty by taking responsibility for your own emotional states rather than expecting your partner to manage your feelings. This includes having your own practices for self-soothing, processing difficult emotions, and maintaining your emotional well-being. Sixth, create authentic communication practices where you share your truth with kindness but without editing yourself to avoid conflict. This might mean expressing needs that feel vulnerable, setting boundaries that might disappoint your partner, or sharing feelings that aren't always positive. Seventh, implement conscious conflict resolution by approaching disagreements as opportunities to understand each other better, rather than battles to be won. This includes listening to understand rather than to respond, owning your part in conflicts, and focusing on solutions that honor both people's needs. I want you to understand that conscious relationships don't mean relationships without challenges or difficulties. They mean relationships where both people are committed to growing through the challenges rather than avoiding them or using them as excuses to hurt each other. What makes a relationship conscious is not the absence of problems, but the presence of two people who are willing to do their own inner work, take responsibility for their own patterns, and support each other's authentic self-expression. The goal is not to find someone who completes you, but to become someone who is already complete, and then choose to share that wholeness with another complete person. This creates partnerships based on choice and joy rather than need and dependency. Your astrological indicators can guide you toward understanding your patterns, but they're not excuses for unconscious behavior. If you have challenging aspects between your relationship planets, this simply means you have more opportunities for growth and consciousness in this area of life. Some of the most beautiful, transformative relationships I've witnessed have been between people with challenging compatibility aspects who were both committed to growing through their differences rather than trying to change each other. Remember that the person you're with is not responsible for your happiness, your self-worth, or your life fulfillment. They're responsible for treating you with respect, honesty, and kindness, just as you're responsible for offering the same to them. As you develop more conscious relationship patterns, you might find that some connections naturally fall away while others deepen and become more authentic. This is part of the process of aligning your relationships with your evolving understanding of love and partnership. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. When you learn to love yourself unconditionally, set boundaries with yourself compassionately, and pursue your own dreams with dedication, you naturally attract and create relationships that reflect this healthy self-relationship. Your chart reveals your unique capacity for love, but it's your consciousness and commitment to growth that determines whether that capacity becomes a source of joy and expansion or unconscious patterns and limitation. Trust that you deserve love that enhances your life rather than complicating it, love that calls forth your authentic self rather than asking you to hide who you are, love that supports your growth rather than keeping you small. The universe wants you to experience love that feels like freedom rather than prison, like expansion rather than contraction, like coming home to yourself rather than losing yourself. This kind of love is not only possible, it's your birthright. May you have the courage to love authentically and the wisdom to maintain your beautiful individual self within partnership. May you attract and create relationships that honor both your need for connection and your need for freedom. And may you always remember that the love you seek already lives within you, waiting to be shared with someone worthy of your precious heart. This content is provided for spiritual and educational purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical, psychological, legal, or financial advice. Please consult qualified professionals for matters concerning your health, relationships, and practical life decisions.